I think I'd rather hear you sing than me talk. Gosh, that was great, huh?
Party.
So, for those of you who might be unaware, the Centers for Spiritual Living around the world have come together this year to promote and expose our global vision to the world. And a vision is your ultimate idea of something. And so the global vision that the Centers for Spiritual Living holds is to create a world that works for everyone. To create a world that works for everyone. And now, if you're anything like me, you might be thinking, wow, that sounds great, but what a tall order, right? But that's what a vision is. It's your grandest, greatest idea of something. And what I do when I sometimes feel detached from a vision because it seems too big or too good to be true, is I think about times that these tall orders have been actualized. Like take in the American Revolution, they probably thought that was a tall order to gain freedom from England. Or Gandhi in India, or Nelson Mandela and South Africa, but tall orders have been actualized all over the world. And so in taking one step at a time towards the realization of a world that works for everyone, each month we have been focusing on a different area of this vision. And so for the month of July, we will be looking at loving kindness and forgiveness. And with that, this morning, we'll be talking about reaching out and touching someone. And so, when I was thinking about this, I automatically thought about the hospital that I work at. And I don't know, maybe it's the same in other businesses, but when I'm walking down the hallways of my hospital, don't worry, this has nothing to do with patient care or medicine. When I'm walking down the hallway, I've noticed that people will do everything they can to not look you in the eye. They will look at the wall, they'll look at the floor, they'll look at their phone, even if they bang into the wall, whatever they can do to. And so I thought, what is going on with this? And then I realized that eye-to-eye contact is very telling. It is a most vulnerable experience because we're looking into each other's soul. But then I also learned that when you smile at someone, they kind of instinctually or unconsciously reflect that sentiment back to you. And when you smile, the muscles that you use in your face trigger your brain to produce happy chemicals. So, I put all this together over the past 5 years of working in the hospital, and I decided that I was going to make it a spiritual practice to walk down the hallway, look everyone in the eye, and smile at them, and just give them the opportunity to participate in that. And so what I found is that people now, even in my small act of nonverbal communication with them, they'll still look at the wall, but as soon as they get to me, they'll turn and smile real quick. And they'll smile before me now. Or they'll make a comment, oh, you're the one who's always smiling, isn't that great? And so I think it's just small things like this. We're reaching out, and we're touching someone in a nonverbal way that's really brightening their day. And if not, it's at least brightening ours because we're smiling, right? Because I think we've all kind of, not all of us, but I know I have at times, bought into this misconception that, well, what do I have to give? Well, how can I be of any service? When maybe we don't have the largest bank account, or maybe we've made mistakes in our life, or haven't always been the kindest of person. And what I say to that now is that there is no amount of belief that will ever make separation from God real. And you can change that word out for whatever you choose. There is no amount of error, no amount of mistakes, no amount of negative thinking that will ever make separation from your good, from the divine, from spirit, from prosperity, real. We are the means by which God expresses. We're it. There is no God outside of us, no ruler who's condemning and deciding who gets to have a good life and who gets to burn in hell. There's no one granting our wishes. We are the means by which Spirit answers prayers. because we are one life expressing in many different ways. And this concept can be kind of tricky, except when you look at all of nature, and we are nature, right? Have you ever been in a blizzard? Yeah. There's so many snowflakes. They all look alike. They all come from the same substance. And yet upon further examination, it has been noted that each and every snowflake is unique. Same thing with the redwoods. They're all beautiful, and they all come from the same stuff, and they look similar, but they're each different. And they're all interconnected and supporting each other in ways that we can't see. And so in the same way, the human race is connected, and we are one life. And so when prayers are spoken around the world, because we are so intricately one, so intricately connected, there is something within us that feels the pain or the desire or the longing. And it urges us, this deep connection urges us to be that answered prayer. I know I see this almost every time when I'm in this center. You guys are either donating to some charity or supporting your greater community in some way. I mean, I don't think you guys will ever know all the prayers that you've answered. And yet you keep on doing it. Because that's what we do. Humans, I think we have this instinctual, probably the most primal desire and urge we have in us is to support each other, to care for one another in some way or another. And so I heard this story recently that kind of articulated this in a way that I thought was very well illustrated, and so I wanted to share it with you. And it was about this man who was driving down the highway, and he sees this older woman stuck on the side of the road. And so he pulls his little Pontiac up by her Mercedes and gets out to help her, and he could see that she's worried because nobody's stopped for hours. It's been hours now. And he's kind of dirty and doesn't have the best clothes. So he says, "Hello, I'm here to help you, ma'am. My name is Brian Anderson." And so he sees that her tire's flat, and he gets down and on his hands and knees and starts to fix it, and he gets dirty and cut up, and when he's finished, the older woman says, "What do I owe you for your service?" And he says, "Ma'am, you don't owe me anything. But if you want to pay me back, the next time you see someone in need, give them the assistance that they need." And then he was on his way. And so that evening, the older woman, she stopped by the restaurant, and it was kind of a hole-in-the-wall restaurant, but she was starving after being stranded all day. And the waitress that she was probably 8.5 months pregnant. And you could tell that she had been working all day, and she wiped her sweat off her forehead with a dirty rag, and yet she had a smile on her face and such a happy disposition. And the older woman thought, how could someone with so little be able to give so much and still be so kind? And so when the older woman went to pay, she paid with a $100 bill. And when the waitress came back to give her her change, she was gone. And so there was a napkin with a note on it. And it said, "Someone once did something kind for me, just like now I'm doing for you. And if you want to pay me back, just don't let this chain of love end." And then the waitress found 4 more $100 bills wrapped up in the napkin. And she thought to herself, how could this older woman, how could she have known how desperately I needed this money? That my husband and I have been struggling, and I'm about to have this baby. And she was so excited to go home and tell her husband. And so she goes home and she wraps her arms around him and she says, "Everything's going to be okay now, Brian Anderson." Isn't that how it goes, though? I mean, we don't do things because we want to get anything in return. We don't do things because we think someday something good might happen to us, but it does, naturally, because that's the law of the universe. I don't know if any of you are aware of this, but the teens for the Centers for Spiritual Living all around the world, they're coming together next week, as they do every year, for this large teen camp. There's over 400 of them. And my daughter, she just turned 13, and she gets to go for her first time, and I'm so excited because it's been making me reminisce on when I got to go to Asilomar or my teen camp for the first time, and how life-changing it was for me. And so I started to think about it because I wanted to tell her just what particularly was so life-changing. And then I realized that I couldn't explain it, and there wasn't just one thing. But talk about reaching out and touching someone. These adults who serve and support the teens at this camp, they are something special. Let me tell you, what I know is that it wasn't one particular experience or talk or meditation or activity that we did, but it was feeling like I was heard and seen and significant. That's probably why I'm standing here today, you guys. Because an adult looked at me and saw something in me that maybe I didn't even see in myself at the time. And so the team's theme this year is, your God is showing. And they are unapologetic about showing this to the world. Your God is showing. And so I thought, what a great idea. What if we took a cue from the teens? And maybe we couldn't go around just telling strangers, your God is showing. But we could go up to a stranger in the grocery store or our neighbor and say, I see you. You're important. You matter. You're significant. Because this is an answered prayer. This changes lives. We all just want to know that we matter. That there's something in us that somebody sees. And so speaking of teens, I found this letter from a former student to her teacher. And he's passing away. And I wanted to share it with you all. I did the ugly cry. Do you know what the ugly cry is? From Oprah? Oh, it's the sobbing. No, you don't want anybody to see you cry when you're doing the ugly cry. Anyway, I've read it enough times that I can keep myself composed now. But I thought I'd share it with you all. Because it was so touching. It says, Dear Mr. Rump, the day I met you was the first day of high school. I walked into your class with a t-shirt that said, Supermodels suck. And you were rocking a ponytail and had your Harley parked next to your desk. We liked each other immediately. You gave me a lot of advice over the next 4 years, like how I should get my ass to Berkeley where I belonged. I'm still there, by the way. I wish you were around too. I remember your full sleeve tattoos, which the school made you hide even in the blazing heat of summer. They were always there under your blue denim shirt and leather vest combo. You were more than happy to tell the story of each one, like constellations etched in ink instead of the stars. I remember your laugh, which would start with a rough chuckle and end with a hacking smoker's cough that would make even the most rebellious teenager swear to lay off cigarettes. You always said you were going to quit, but I don't know if you ever did. I remember the way you didn't lower your standards, yet still refused to give up on us. Whether that meant holding an extra AP study session on the weekend, or throwing the occasional student in the broom closet for acting up in class. You were tough on us, and we were tough on you. Love is tough sometimes. The last time I wrote you was in 2005, 4 years after I graduated. I had just become a teacher like you. And it had given me a new appreciation for the work you did with countless high school students over the years. You wrote me back and told me that your heart sang to hear from me. That's the kind of teacher you were, the kind whose heart sang for their students. It's hard to say what I'll miss the most about you. There are too many memories to sort through from those 4 years. And it hurts to think that you'll never read this letter. I want to believe that you knew how much you meant to your family, your students, your community, and your colleagues. That would be a lot of realization to handle, even for you. You changed the lives of everyone around you, and even now, you're reminding me to cherish life in its brevity and beauty, and to tell the people I love how much they mean to me before it's too late. Dear teacher, dear mentor, and dear friend, you will soon be gone, but you will never be forgotten. To infinity and beyond, Teresa. You know, just like this amazing teacher, you all may never know how many prayers you've answered, how many lives you've touched. But I know that you can take pride in and have the self-confidence and assurance in knowing that you were an instrument, that you are an instrument of the divine presence. And that when you listen to those silent urges, those subtle nudges to let your God show, you know you've done good. And so my challenge to you, my call to you this week, is even when it feels uncomfortable and you want to look at the wall instead of another person, even when you're feeling like you're frustrated and you can't understand why people act the way they do, find a way, just find a way in your own unique self to reach out and touch someone, because you are someone's answered prayer. And so now I'd like to invite you, if you will, to join me in prayer. Just feeling the love in this room, the love that has brought me so much comfort over these past few months. Feeling the God, the good that is in this room with each and every one of these beautiful human beings. I know that there is a life, a presence, a divine good, and it is exploding out of each and every one of us. In new and amazing ways, we come together and we make the world a better place. We create that world that works for everyone. I can sense it and I feel it and I know it and I see it right here in this room. For all the love, for all the joy, for all the support, I say thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, each and every human here. Thank you for being that light, for being that joy, for being that support, that shoulder, that arm that reaches out and touches. And so I give my words away with a grateful, grateful heart. And so it is.